And at the filming of this video, we still have 1 month left in June. No, we still have one... Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm bringing you my June TBR. If you've seen my May TBR, which I'll have linked up in cards, as well as a playlist for all my TBRs down in the description, you'll know that I was participating in the Escape the Readathon created by Books with Lexie, who I'll also have linked down below, as well as a link for the original announcement video and the Discord. This is a team-based readathon, similar to Clue, that is set on a cruise ship. I started my month with a pile of possibilities that was based on the prompts for each room that is part of the game. However, once you enter a room, there are mini games that require different prompts, different reads, different situations, and different numbers of all of the above. Therefore, I've definitely strayed from my TBR, and at the filming of this video, we still have 1 week until the end of May. But I can say I did read Bear, Tempest Elite Motorcycle Club Book 1 by Regan Phillips. And I also completed Air to the Ice Flame by Rose Harvey. And I've really enjoyed this book, so I'm looking forward to continuing with this series. For more details on those reads and everything else I managed to read in May, stay tuned for my next quarterly reading wrap-up. I will have the link to that playlist up in the cards and down in the description. But moving on to June, I have decided to participate in the Amazing Readathon, which was created by Brie from Four Paws and a Book. I'll obviously have Brie, the announcement video, and the Discord all linked down below if you would like to participate. The 2025 theme is The Worlds Awaiting, and this is another team-based readathon, though it's based on the reality television game The Amazing Race. Therefore, the main concept is that you move from location to location, only finding out what location you're going to prior to the next one. You have to read a certain amount of reads to get through that location, as well as a range of detours and mini games that you can participate in before moving to the next one. I am not the fastest reader, and in the competitive version of the game, you can't move to the next location until you have completed the one you are currently at. So I'm hesitant to think I would be able to read quickly enough to get through each world. But thankfully, Brie has offered an alternative team, which is the Pathfinders. And the Pathfinders are a non-competitive team that can bounce around between worlds, between detours, between prompts, in any way they see fit. Their reads don't count towards the competitive nature of the game, but it is a way to participate in the readathon without the restrictions that being a part of the competitive side includes. So I guess it goes without saying, I've made the decision to join the Pathfinders, and I'm really thankful that Brie has offered that alternative. Currently, we do not know what worlds we'll be going to, though Brie has given us a list of prompts that will be associated with one of the worlds we're going to. We aren't being told of any of the mini games detour prompts. So when they come up, once you reach the next world, we do have the opportunity to basically jump to one of those prompts if we prefer that, rather than sticking with one of the world prompts. Obviously, that flexibility, to be very clear, is only available to the Pathfinders. So if you're looking for the competitive alternative, that is a lot more restricted, and you have to get through said world's prompt before you can go on to detours. But I have a pile of possibilities here that I have based on those prompts that Bree has already provided that will end up being associated to one of the worlds. So I'm going to run through the prompts, run through the books I have chosen. Though, to be clear, similar to how I've been playing over the last few months, I may end up going off the TBR, reading books that fit alternative prompts, or even reading books that fit these prompts but are not the ones I originally selected. Either way, it is just for fun, and this gives me a little bit of a guiding path when I'm just not exactly sure what I would like to read. So let's jump in to the prompts and the books I've selected. First up, for a cozy read or comfort book, I have selected Guilty Pleasures by Laurel K. Hamilton. This is the first book in the Anita Blake Vampire Hunter series. I have previously read this, so it will be a reread, but I really enjoy this series, therefore it is a bit of a comfort book for me. Though in saying it, it is at times a bit gruesome, and it also can be a bit smutty. But this is the first book I've selected as a cozy or comfort read. The next book is a book with a romance, and for that I have selected a new book to my collection. This is If This Gets Out by Sophie Gonzalez and Kale Dieterich. I think that's how you say it. This book is an romance between two members of a one of the world's biggest boy bands. Teen heartthrobs in front of the camera. They're also best friends backstage, but management's pressure on Ruben to stay in the closet is taking its toll. Zach is the only one he can confide in. As Ruben and Zach come to rely on each other more and more during a whirlwind tour of Europe, their close friendship evolves into romance. Just by reading the back and kind of looking at the front, I'm imagining that it's kind of probably has a little bit of that, is it Larry? Was that the ship name with Harry and Lewis from One Direction? I'm imagining it's kind of got that feel to it. But I am looking forward to reading it. Next up, we have a book with a green cover. And for that, I've decided to finally read Verity by Colleen Hoover. It is not often that I come across a main character with my name, and I have been putting off reading this book, possibly because I'm a little bit worried I'm not going to like it. But this one does have a green color, and in fact green is my favorite color, so it all kind of magically fits together. But this will be the book I'll be reading for a green cover. The next prompt is a book with low ratings that you think you'll love. This one is a little bit up to interpretation, but I decided to have a look at books that were on my physical TBR with an average rating on Goodreads lower than 4, but I think could potentially be a 4 or even a 5-star read for me. It definitely took me a while because some of the books that had low ratings, I was imagining I would enjoy but not love. until I came across this one. So this is Red Riding Hood. It's by Sarah Blakely Cartwright and David Leslie Johnson. It is a retelling of Red Riding Hood, and it is tagged as a young adult novel. The tagline on the back of the book reads, "The blacksmith would marry her, the woodcutter would run away with her, the werewolf would turn her into one of its own." This is going to be a book about one's own agency and autonomy, and the question is going to be whether the main character, the Red Riding Hood, who I think her name is Valerie, whether she will end up sacrificing herself to the wolves to save everyone else. I'm definitely looking forward to reading this one. And it actually says here it's now a major motion picture, but I don't think I've seen it. So I will potentially read the book, and if I enjoy it, maybe hunt down the motion picture and watch that as well. Next, we have a book that takes place in a large city. For that, I've decided to bring in All City by Alex DeFrancesco. This one is set in New York. I don't really know anything about it, just that it's in a near future New York City ravaged by climate change. So I'm definitely looking forward to reading this one. I haven't really read very many environmental sci-fis, and I know this is going to sound really weird, but when you look at the cover like this, I have not picked up until seeing it in my viewfinder that the buildings here are actually showing the reflection of a person's face here. I had not realized that until now, but I'm definitely looking forward to jumping into this one. It's got a little red mark on it here. It is one I got from the declutter pile at my local library, and a red dot normally means a horror. So I'm interested to see if this is going to be an environmental horror or something else. It's definitely new to me, and I'm planning to go into it mildly blind, so I haven't even read the synopsis. So let's see how this goes. Then we have a book with a violent word in the title. This one is also a reread, and I'm going to read Tomorrow When the War Began. War is the violent title. This is by John Marsden, who is an Australian author. I read this book back in high school. I really enjoyed it. I never continued on with the series because I had heard from a classmate who did continue on with the series. The continuation maybe goes down a path in relation to some of the characters that I did not wish to participate in understanding and reading. But I think that the time has come for me to continue with this series. It is a much-loved Australian author, a much-loved Australian series, and I would like to read it and reread it and see if I still have the love for the first book, but also potentially to continue on with it and see what happens in the end. Next is a book with a celestial or godly word in the title. For that, I have picked The Angel. This is by Tiffany Reyes and is the second book in the original Sinners series. This is one of the books I discussed in my Plan to Pan video in December. I'll have that linked in the cards. But I have borrowed this book from a friend to continue with this series, and this may be the month that I actually complete it and return it to them. Next up, we have a book that is shorter than the last book you read. Obviously, that prompt is subjective compared to what book you've previously read. So I decided to look through my Kindle reads and select a book that has less pages than all the other books on this TBR. Therefore, regardless of when I choose to read it, it will always be shorter and smaller than any of the other books that I read. So I've decided to read How I Stole the Princess's White Knight and Turned Him to Villainy by A.J. Sherwood. The title kind of caught me for this one, and then obviously the page count. I'm not exactly sure what this book is about, but I think it has something to do with the princess wanting to do something or wanting something to happen that the knight is not particularly in support of. I think this is going to be an interesting discussion on what makes a character a villain, and really the fact that dependent on which side of the coin you are on means what side is the villain. Though I wonder how deep this can actually go, considering it is only around 100 pages. Next up, we have a book with an over-the-top cover. This is also an up-to-interpretation type of prompt, but I've actually decided to go with In Every Generation. This is by Kendare Blake, and if you can't already tell, it is set within the Buffy verse. I seen this book on the shelf in the back of one of Leandra, the TBR Zero's videos. I'll have Leandra linked down below in case you'd like to check out their channel. And I commented asking about the book and whether it was worth reading. Leandra really enjoyed it, and as a Buffy fan, I would like to also jump in and read it. If you're also a Buffy fan, on a side note, I do have a panning project called Pan More with Feeling. I'll have that linked up in the cards and down in the description, where I'm panning a makeup or beauty item for every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But while doing so, I'm actually rewatching the entire series. So this is set in the future after what happens in the series, and it is a Slayer for a new generation. I'm really keen to read this and see how it goes, and then I'll also be interested to see what happens with this new reboot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer that is currently in the cards, and whether it will kind of take a path similar to this, if it will take a path similar to the comic books, or if it will be completely different altogether. But I decided to select this cover as an over-the-top cover because these writing here, it is wrapped, it is a library book and it is wrapped in plastic to protect it. But the cover here is raised. This is foiled. There's quite a lot going on up here. And even on the side, Blake has used the Buffy text for the B on each side to kind of catch your attention. Also, the monochromatic style of it. They're my reasons for saying it's over the top. It is what it is, but it's what I'm selecting. And last but not least, we have a book with a chilly cover or a winter setting. For that, I've decided to read Heart of Ice by Rose Harvey. This is the next book in the Ice Flame series. And because it's got ice in it and it's got kind of a bluey, wintry feel to the cover, that is why I selected it. I do own this book, I just don't have it here with me, so I'll have to collect it from my other living arrangement, but I will be physically reading it. So those are the 10 books on my pile of possibilities on my TBR for June. However, like I said, I might not be sticking to these specific books. It all depends on what prompts come out of the detours and what kind of mood I'm in. This is more of a mood reading month, as long as I can fit those books to the prompts. Though I'm definitely looking forward to participating and having a chat with my fellow Pathfinders within the Discord. And it is not too late to join in, so if you haven't already, make sure you do. Outside of my readathons, I'm also trying, not very well, but trying to complete an advent calendar book pile for 2025. Just a reminder, I have a range of physical books selected from my collection by my husband. I have then had them wrapped anonymously and numbered, so I have no idea what is in these books. So I'm unwrapping them once a month and trying to read them. So far, I have not completed one of the books within this project, which is slightly disappointing, though I am going to start trying to fit them into prompts within my regular TBR games. I was unable to do that this month, but hopefully next month I will. But here we have book number 6. So this is my June book. Let's open this up and see what we have. Oh, interesting cover. There is so far an eyeball. Okay, Lexicon by Max Barry. I do not even remember picking up this book, which definitely shows you something about my wayward additions to my collection. But it says here, nothing is alive in there, just a word, lexicon. And on the back it says, 2 years ago, something terrible was unleashed in an Australian mining town called Broken Hill. Thousands died. Okay, I can see why I picked this book up. So obviously, Australian mining town. I live in a mining town, and Broken Hill, I don't live in Broken Hill, but I have been there. Few people know what really happened. Emily Ruff is one of them. She belongs to a nameless organization of poets, masters of manipulation who use the secrets of language to wrap others to their will. She was one of their most promising recruits until she made a catastrophic mistake. She fell in love. Will Park knows the truth too, only he doesn't remember it, and he doesn't know why he's immune to the poet's powers, but he knows he needs to run. As their stories converge, the past is revealed and the race is on for a deadly weapon, a word, because the poets know that words can kill. Wow, this does sound like something that would have piqued my interest, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the location of an Australian mining town fits within this really sci-fi style plot. And whether the mining town and that dynamic, that kind of environment actually has any relation to the plot, or whether it was just a location that the author selected. But I'm really looking forward to reading this one. I look forward to reading all the books I own and all the books I put on my TBR, but unfortunately I actually do not manage to get to majority of them. Maybe that's something I will take into consideration and give stats for in my next reading wrap up, which I'll have up in the cards, the playlist to that, as well as down in my description. maybe I can look at how many books I actually put on my TBR for the year up until that quarter and how many of them I actually managed to read. But that's all I have for you today. So I'm Verity. This was my June TBR featuring the Amazing Readathon. And now to the outro.